Thanks for being here today, guys. It is a very special day for myself to be up here in front of my family, the Oilers organization. It was great to be able to talk to the prospects there earlier real quick, but especially special to have my son Colton with me today. Thank you to the Oilers organization for putting this on and allowing me to say a final goodbye to the NHL. I am here today to announce my retirement. I got a lot of people to thank, and too many to sit here and get everybody. But I do want to start by thanking the Blackhawks organization for giving me a chance to live my childhood dream and be able to pull on an NHL sweater, the Chicago Blackhawks Original Six. Big thank you to Rocky Wirtz, Danny Wirtz, and the entire Wirtz family for giving me that opportunity. I know there's a lot of people in that organization that pulled for me to be drafted and give me a shot in the league. I have a huge thank you to Dale Talon. I know he was instrumental in drafting me to the Blackhawks. I started out my pro career in Norfolk in the minors, and I will big thank you to Trent Yanni. He really helped me lay down the foundation for a pro career and taught me what it was all about to be a defenseman at this league and believe in me, that I could play defense being a smaller defenseman and use my quickness and my speed and my heart and determination. So thank you to Trent. As the seasons went along, I feel like Joel Quenneville, Mike Kitchen were instrumental in my development. I know they helped me raise my game and the level of my teammates' game. A huge thank you to Joel for believing in me and playing me as much as he did, allowing me to develop my game to the level that I believed I could reach. I'd like to thank Stan Bowman as well for continuing to put the pieces together to help us with those championship teams that we had and we created in Chicago. I got a lot of special memories from my time there, and those championship teams were definitely some of the highlights. I've got a lot of great memories, a lot of great teammates from my time in Chicago. and too many great players to name them all. But when I think of those teammates and the special bonds and memories that we created, one guy that sticks out to me the most is Brent Seabrook. I was fortunate to play with him for over 1,000 games as defense partners, as defense teammates. I think we have the record for defensemen to play the most games together on a team in the NHL. So a lot of great memories with Brent. But when I think of those other teammates, and Patrick Sharp, Marian Hossa, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, Corey Crawford, Dustin Byfuglien, Andrew Ladd, Christopher Stieg, Brian Campbell, the list goes on. And I think one thing that made those teams special was our passion and the fact that we cared and we wanted to be great every single night. I remember sitting around hotel rooms late at night with Siebes and Sharpie, and we'd always be talking. We called them hot stoves, so we'd sit there and. I remember one night, I think it was here in Edmonton, we had the longest hot stove we've had. I think it lasted till about 5 or 6 in the morning. But I think that was probably the next night I was at -5, my worst career -5 that night right here in Edmonton against the Oilers. So my advice to you prospects would make sure you get your sleep at night before a game. Brent was instrumental in my hockey career when I won my 2 Norris trophies. I always played my best hockey playing with Brent Seabrook, a big, strong, right-handed shot defenseman. I couldn't ask for a better player, a better person to play my whole career in Chicago with him. Thankful he was there. I think guys joke around that I might not have made it to every practice or game had I not had him picking me up to get to the airport on time. And so very thankful for a teammate like Brent, a selfless leader that was huge for not only just my career, but I think everybody else in Chicago at that time. I'd like to thank the trainers in Chicago, starting with Parchi, Jimmy, Pasha, working on my legs all those times. Mike Gabsky, Jeff Thomas, they dealt with me for 16 years. Harry and Langer, you guys had me for 1. Just imagine 16 dealing with those skates. I'd like to thank the Blackhawk fans as well for their passion and their support over the years for my time in Chicago. They really guided us and helped us cheer us on through the ups and downs, and I got a lot of fond memories of my time in Chicago. When I decided to turn the page and leave, Chicago, it was a very hard decision, but one decision that looking back on was one of the best decisions to make, and the emphasis on that was so I could be closer to my son Colton and play in front of him more. But I also wanted to come to a team that gave us a chance. We were in an opportunity to win, and I know we came up short last year, but we had a hell of a run, and we learned a lot. And I got the Oilers organization. I'm forever indebted and grateful for the opportunity for you guys gave me to come here and play in front of my family, my son, my nephews, Gavin and Parker. They're here today, and my nieces Everly and Mia. I want to thank Daryl Cates, Bob Nicholson, and Ken Holland for believing in me at the age of 38, taking the chance to bring me aboard here, and still believing in me that I could help the Oilers organization. I know we didn't get to finish the job, but I feel like this organization is an incredible organization, and it's definitely on the right path. And getting the chance to play with for Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson, You guys really guided us to another level this season as the season went along, so thank you as well. The opportunity to play with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I think, speaks for itself. Two of the two best players in the world, and being around them on a nightly basis, just to see how good they really are on a day-to-day basis, it was amazing. And I know that I believe that they're gonna lead this team to a championship. I really do believe that. But it was also a lot of players, all my Oilers teammates, Tyson Barrie here and Kyle Turris. You guys, Darnell Nurse and Mike Smith, Cody Ceci, you guys made this past year very special and memorable for me. A lot of hot stove with you, Tyson. Just to be able to go out and be able to have a chance to compete for the cup with you guys in the playoffs was special and memorable for myself and my family. I'd also like to thank the Oilers organization. I don't want to go on too long, but it's like I mentioned earlier, those guys, the trainers in Chicago, dealt with my skates while Harry and Langer and TD, all you guys, Hap, everybody working on my legs, getting my legs ready to go. I appreciate every single one of you guys for all the work and the times tying up my skates to get them feeling good for the next game, for playoffs, and having them dried out, ready to go. I know you put up with a lot, and I appreciate that, guys. Thank you, the Oilers fans, for cheering us on. It really was special being able to go out and walk out from our dressing room and hear the crowd in playoff time chanting. You Oiler prospects, if you ever work your way up to the big club, it's something incredibly special playing playoff hockey here in Edmonton and getting a chance to walk out from the dressing room and you can hear, if you feel like a gladiator walking out onto the ice, it's an amazing, special feeling. Lastly, I'd like to thank my family for all the support. My Uncle Rob's been here in Edmonton for a long time. And it was special for me to be able to play in front of you guys my last year. I want to thank my brother, my sister, Megan, my sister, Rebecca. She's out in Michigan. My parents, for all their support over the course of my career. My mom, I wouldn't be up here today without my mom yelling at me to get up off the ice when I was a little kid, laying down on the ice crying because I fell down. So without her, I wouldn't be here today, and without my dad selling me on the dream of being an NHL player. So thank you, Mom and Dad. Lastly, I want to thank you, Cole, my boy. Love you.
Love you.
He was a huge inspiration for me the last few years, especially being able to play in front of him and just have him around more meant a lot. So thank you, Cole. Love you.
Love you.
Thank you, guys.
Questions? I'd like to go back here, Mark Spector. I guess we just asked, when you left the season, you seemed pretty happy and you seemed like a guy that might come back. What are the things that made you decide over this summer that it's time?
Well, I think the last few years, as you get to a certain age, you try to evaluate how you're feeling, how your body's feeling. And I always took a lot of pride in my training and being ready. And, I just felt like the last few years there was a change in how I felt. I still love the game. always will. But I just, with the change and getting older, I'm going to be 39 at the end of the week. And the opportunity and the thought of being around my son Colton more and being around him and his hockey, being able to help my brother coach our boys and his daughter and my niece. The more and more it got closer to that, the more excited I became about that thought. It's never an easy decision. I think I'm always, there's still some part of me that knows that I could still play, and I think that's kind of how I wanted to go out, knowing that I still had some game left in me, and I'm relatively healthy, so that's basically where my mindset was at.
Hi, Duncan. Congratulations. Bolton, hello. You spoke about your family when you addressed us here, and I was just wondering if you could maybe just expand on the Edmonton-based family and what it was like for you to live and play in a city with family members, and maybe having that support group or those bonds so immediate.
Yeah, I remember my first game here in Edmonton with the Blackhawks. And I had my family there, and my cousin. I knew my cousin Jordan was a diehard Oilers fan, but it was my first time coming to Western Canada. And I see him after the game, and he's got an Oilers jersey on. So I was a little bit. I gave him a hard time about that, but slowly but surely. I think they always had a special place, obviously being here in Edmonton. They had a special place for the Oilers, but they came aboard Chicago, and then obviously the last summer, getting a chance to play closer to home. It was really a big part of that decision was being able to play here in Edmonton in front of my family, my cousins Jenny and Jordan, and my uncle and aunt, Uncle Rob and Aunt Karen, to be able to, put the Oilers jersey on and wear that one with pride, and it meant a lot being able to see them and know that they were at the games, and that we were all going for the cup with the Oilers now.
Duncan, congratulations. Does it make it easier because you had such a successful season compared to the last few in Chicago where your team wasn't that competitive? Was it easier to walk away because you had that one last good run?
I don't think it made it any easier. I feel like, really wanted to win the Stanley Cup this past year, and I know that coming here in Edmonton, I know we had a lot of great players, a lot of great pieces. We never know if we can win the Stanley Cup, but I knew we would have a chance, and we made it to the Final Four, and that's pretty special. Obviously, there's some steps that need to continue there, but it was, knowing that Edmonton, is right there, right close. It does make it a good feeling knowing we were close and we had a successful season. There was a lot of ups and downs, but every season is like that, whether you win or lose at the end. But being able to play with such a great group of guys. It made it memorable and special for sure to be able to go out not quite on top, but knowing it was a great run with a lot of great memories. Third round, it's a lot of hockey, and it was a lot of fun this past year.
Evan Bouchard raved at how much he learned just from playing beside you, and by a future Hall of Famer. Who is the player maybe that mentored you early in your career when you were the player that you look back on that really kind of just gave you those little subtle hints and tips that helped you become a better defenseman?
Well, like I mentioned earlier with Trent Yanni as my coach in Norfolk, he was huge. And in the minors, there was a guy named Marty Wilford who I noticed he made every single pass in practice. There wasn't in 2 years I never saw him miss one pass. And so there's lots of players along the way. We had great leadership in Chicago early on with Marty Lapointe and Adrian Aucoin and Todd Simpson. So I was fortunate to be surrounded by quality guys like that cared for you, looked after you. But one guy that the leadership out of Brent Seabrook. I know he's a couple years younger than me, but you're able to learn from everybody, and having him around my whole career was. It was huge for me. I'm so thankful to have a guy like that and play alongside him, for 15 years. I can't sit up here and explain it to anybody, but properly. He was huge, and there's lots of guys, but those guys for sure.
Duncan, I'm sure it took a lot of, inward thinking and courage to step away from Chicago after a whole career there and set out here in Edmonton in a new team this late in your career. You got two guys in Chicago, in Taves and Kane, who are, realistically thinking about the same thing. If one of those guys calls you and says, "What should I do about Edmonton?" what would you say?
Well, I have nothing but great things to say about Edmonton. I know it's a little bit cold here, but it's for me, it was great. The cold, it made it special being with the guys on the team. I think the organization, when I think about the Oilers, it's an incredible organization, a family atmosphere. Colton and my niece and nephews and everybody, all the players, their kids and families it really is a family atmosphere here. And I think Bob has had a lot to do with creating that culture here, because I know it was like that in Hockey Canada as well. And so for me, when I think of that, it's especially for players with family and to have that kind of culture here. Edmonton would be right at the top of the list, 100% as a place to play. You have Connor McDavid, you have Leon Draisaitl, but you also have players like Tyson Barrie, Darnell Nurse. You've got Cody Ceci, all the players that make this organization special. Kyle Turris was there last year. He was around, and he didn't play. He was injured, but. He's here today, living in Edmonton. It was just everybody cared, great individuals and great. I think my mic's cutting out. They're telling me I'm too long-winded, maybe. But it's a special organization with great players, great coaches, great management, and a great owner. So, I'd definitely give them a glowing recommendation.
Duncan, just over here, you got to play with those great teams in Chicago and the 1 year here in Edmonton. How do the two teams compare? Do you see them kind of going in a similar cycle with the Oilers that with the Chicago Blackhawks did back then?
Well, it's tough to compare teams, but I know that here in Edmonton, they've got so many great pieces to what it takes to put a championship team together. And there's been a lot of teams over the years that have had great pieces that maybe don't get it done, but Edmonton has as good a chance as anybody, especially for the next 4 or 5 foreseeable future. So, we were a group of young players back in Chicago. We all cared. We were all passionate. And I come in here, that's one of the first things I noticed was how much these players care about winning and how serious they are about trying to bring a cup back to Edmonton for this organization and this city. And it was awesome to be a part of that my last year.
Check, check. Could I throw one at Colton? Is that okay?
Absolutely. He's been waiting to talk here.
Colt.
Ready?
Not everybody's dad is an NHL hockey player. Not everybody's dad is a superstar athlete. How are you feeling today? Because you're old enough that you watched your dad play some hockey games. How are you feeling today knowing that your dad's career has come to an end?
It's been like, he's been in the NHL his whole life, and it's different that he's gonna be retiring for his life, and then so yeah.
Well said, thank you.
On behalf of the Edmonton Oilers organization, it's a memento of your incredible career, your time in Edmonton, and we're going to have this fucking house and you can put it up and you can watch it on a regular basis. You've got a specific that you can.
Thank you, the Oilers organization, for providing this for my son. He's been around the dressing room, walking around, autographs from the players all season long. From the Oilers organization means a lot to be able to present this to my son, Colton. It feels heavy, Duncan. It feels heavy.
Why don't you just stand in with Colton ready to go there? Doug, would you like to invite your family on stage as well? Yeah.
My nephew Gavin, my niece Everett, their nephew Parker, they're all up and coming hockey players. We're good done. There you go. Mia.